Hey everyone, we're back with another episode of How to Get My Job. We sit down with amazing people within the design and product industry and ask them how their careers started, evolved, and what advice they have for those coming after them. Joining us today is Alan Grehan, Head of Product Design and Research at British Airways. Hey Alan, how are you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Yes, I'm very good. And yeah, I'm just really excited to talk to you today.
No worries, glad to speak to you.
You've worked at some amazing companies, and your career journey just seems very impressive. And I think a lot of people will look at your CV, look at your profile and be thinking, how did he get to where he is today? And that's what we're hoping to uncover. So let's jump into it with the first question. How did you get your first job in product design?
In terms of how I got that first design job, like post grad, it was very much about just resilience and applying to lots of different roles. Probably got 4 or 5 interviews, and then ended up luckily getting my first role at a small agency, kind of working on marketing websites, like SEO stuff. But I was quite fortunate with my courses at university, where we had a unit that was kind of all based around yourself and how you brand yourself, so that when you actually go into that process of looking for jobs, you already have your kind of CV set up, your portfolio site. There's a consistency in the design and the brand of those elements. So then when you're going to like apply to jobs, people can, see your portfolio. It has the same, might have the same typography, colors, like iconography, whatever. And they look at your CV and there's a connection between that. That's something that if you're on the other side as a hiring person, you're looking at that and seeing, okay, this person's kind of thought about how they're marketing themselves and how they're selling themselves. So whatever you can do to get your personality across, to show your creative flair, is really important.
No, that's really interesting. I haven't actually heard of that before. Usually, like with universities, like whether it's university, whether it's secondary school, the career advice that is given and guidance is quite not very good.
Yeah, it's quite shallow, isn't it?
Yeah, but this sounds way more like comprehensive.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It feels quite lucky to have had that, because I graduated a little bit later than a lot of my friends, and they spoke to me a lot about how hard it is to get that first role. You go to university, you do all the studies at university, you finish up, and then suddenly it's like, right, now just like go and figure out the rest of your life. So when this unit came up at uni, I was like, I'm 100% focusing on this, because at the end of the day, like the degree is the environment that you're in that helps you learn your specialism, but then the ultimate goal of all of that is to then work in that field. So whatever you can do to help yourself get that job is really important.
I think, like just to like repeat what you said earlier, like learning how to market yourself as a designer is so important, and the fact that you got to learn that early on, that must have been so invaluable to your career. No, that's great advice. No, I love that. And I guess now that you have been working in this field for a while now, how did you make that switch from lead designer to head of design?
I think to answer that probably accurately, I've got to talk about the transition that I had first, going from senior designer to lead designer. So I got to a stage when I was at Aviva, and I was working on the design system there. And I was a senior designer. I come in and I worked on a few projects, and I moved into the design system team. And I very much realized that my skill set as a designer was like good. It was good UI designer, understood UX standards, understand development stuff and how to navigate things. And I quickly realized, like working within that team, and as we expanded that team, that there was an opportunity for someone to come in and sort out all of the other stuff to empower the other people in the team. And I slowly started to realize that I found it very empowering and to be honest, more enjoyable to help other designers do really good work. I found it really interesting how you can make influence at scale. So rather than just me just doing good design work isolated, I was like, well, if I can help 2 or 3 other designers to do great work, then that's way more than if it's just me doing good stuff. And I found that transition quite easy, like as a step. I think a lot of designers find that really hard because they want to own the design process, which I definitely still miss, like 100%. I'm not like moved away from that and don't miss it. But I just thought it fit my personality a bit more. And then I think the transition really from lead design to head of design, it happened when I was at Octopus. And I think it was a lot of challenges alongside like moving into that space. Like it certainly wasn't seamlessly easy. I think it helped that I had that experience of understanding that the focus is on how you create an environment that helps people do their best work. So I think the main thing that helps is that sort of idea around building trust with people, trying to empower people to do good work, like staying update and relevant of everything. Something that I realized when I was in the lead space that is the same in the head of space is that ability to go like super micro, like granular detail, and then like bird's eye view. And you have to do that within the lead level. And I think doing that at head of design is the same. You have to like think across so many different touch points.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. I think what you said about like getting enjoyment and fulfillment from empowering others.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's also helps when you give people the autonomy to go and like play like in the space and figure out like how to navigate things. It's a bit of like a people-focused approach, but I found that it's worked quite well.
I love that. Yeah, so that all sounds great. And I guess part of what makes you such a great manager and be able to, grow the team and nurture a team is what you said earlier, which is that empathy piece and having empathy, which I guess moves quite nicely onto our next question. What are the most important qualities a product designer or head of design could have?
I think you could probably say this across both roles and all of the roles within the design space. But I think number one is it's always just being open to keep learning. Like our industry and environment changes all the time, and I think there's always an opportunity to learn new stuff. Like I've worked in a whole bunch of different organizations and some cool brands and worked with some really talented people and been lucky enough to learn a great deal from those people. But that never stops. Like, and I think whenever that does stop, it'll be a problem for me, for example, if I stop learning from the people that I work with. I think that empathy thing is massive as well, empathizing for yourself as you go through your journey, because there's definitely going to be bits along the way where you're going to have like self-doubt and imposter syndrome. That's something that lovely pops its head up all the time for everybody. Empathy for your teammates, everyone else in the team, understanding how they're working, empathy for the user that you're creating experiences to support and help. Something that I'm like really, really keen on is collaboration where you go above and beyond. Not just like the default, we have to collaborate because we work together. Someone wants to run a workshop and they need someone to help facilitate or take notes. And you just put your hand up and say, yeah, I'll help you out with that. Or if someone's having a shitty day and they need someone to just rant to for a bit, like really going above and beyond. And I encourage that so much within the team, because the more that you help someone else is the more that they're going to pass it on. And then everyone's helping everyone else to do good work. And it fosters a really good culture when everyone feels like everyone's got their back, and then that benefits everyone else.
I love that. I think all of those that you've mentioned are great, but I really liked what you said about the collaboration not just being about your daily collaboration and tasks, about being much more than that, helping your colleagues out, being someone that if someone's not feeling good or needs someone to talk to, that you can be that person, or helping someone. All of those things don't go unnoticed, especially by your managers and peers. I think that's a really great bit of advice. And I guess to sum everything up, what's the best career advice you've ever been given?
Probably two things stand out. One is on that trust thing. So like building relationships and building trust empowers you to make change. I think that's a really big thing. Like you can't do anything in any organization or in life with anyone if you don't have trust. You have to be able to really understand each other and trust their opinion and they trust your opinion. Even when you're, you work through a design task and you're presenting it back to stakeholders or to your peers and you're explaining your rationale as to why you made certain design decisions, that's a trust building exercise as well, because after a while you build up the trust and you understand exactly, people have an expectation of how you're going to deliver your design work because they trust your opinion, they trust why you've designed something in a certain way. So that was a really big part. I think the thing that was the most important piece of feedback that I got, and it wasn't during my career, it was actually at uni. One of my tutors told me, once you learn how you learn, you can teach yourself anything. And that for me was like a really, really big piece of advice, because I'm dyslexic and I didn't find out I was dyslexic until I was 20 years old. So I went the whole way through school and all the teachers thought I was naughty or I didn't care or I was messing around. And it's actually because some teachers looked like teaching style worked perfectly for me and I did really well in their classes. And then other teachers, their learning teaching style was not for my brain at all. And then I found out when I was at uni, or just before I went to uni, and it changed the way that I approach my learning of everything. Those words that he said to me has kind of enabled me to just brush off any self-doubt about not being able to pick something up, because I'm just like, I just need to learn it in a different way that might be alternative to how other people do.
Yeah, no, amazing. The fact that you were able to find that out as well and have that like mindset shift and realize that it's not actually you, it's actually the way you just need to make a few adjustments and then you'll be able to get what you need out of it. But yeah, that must be such a nice feeling, like coming to the realization that it's not anything you're doing, it's completely out of your control. Once you understand that and have the tools to correct it, then anything is possible.
It was super empowering because it still affects how I learn stuff at work to this day. Like I draw everything out. I'm always a person who's drawing things on the whiteboard. I can put everything on post-it notes. I'm a visual learner, like super visual learner. I don't learn anything like from audio. So it's kind of framing that in my mind to help with how I pick things up. And it's been lucky to have that advice. Yes, definitely a good bit of advice.
Yes, and whoever gave it to you, well done them, and thank you for giving it to you so that you could now share it with everyone else. And I know it's gonna help a lot of people and resonate with a lot of people. So thank you so much, Alan, for being a guest on our podcast.
No worries at all. Thanks for having me.
No, it's our pleasure. But until next time, bye for now.